President Trump and the First Lady, Melania Trump, comforted the victims of Sunday night's massacre and praised police officers yesterday, along with first responders who tended to them during a visit to Las Vegas yesterday. Despite being shot in the leg, Thomas Gunderson found the strength to stand when President Trump and the First Lady visited his hospital room. Gunderson posted the moment to his Facebook page, writing this: "I will never lie down when the president of this great country comes in to shake my hand." There's the video. Heather Higgins, how did the president do yesterday in terms of talking with victims, in terms of going and showing respect?
This is not a guy who's ever going to take a knee during the national anthem. The president did well. I mean, I think what's fascinating is to look at the difference between the media narrative about how he does and how he actually does. Even in Puerto Rico, the crowds responded. The crowds understood when he was making a joke about Puerto Rico debt killing us. The crowds understood that he was praising the first responders, that there were only 16 dead there. And here he's been a consoler, but largely he understands that his role is being sympathetic but providing strength to people, providing them encouragement to do what they need to do to survive difficult circumstances. The media wants him to be a consoler-in-chief. The people want him to be a commander-in-chief.
Yeah, but, you say that, the media knew he was joking about the debt comments. That's the top story in the journal.
No, the people in the audience did. The media turned it into a...
I'm not sure.
And the markets reacted. Puerto Rico bond prices sank after the president said that the territory's $73 billion in debt load may get wiped out.
He
said that in an offhanded way, talking to Geraldo Rivera, and the markets reacted.
Yeah. This is the one job that words actually do matter. What you say matters. And I think that is one of the president's weaknesses, is his inability to stay on his message and use his words to actually help his cause. Because, aside from being relatively late to get to Puerto Rico in the first place, which was a valid criticism of him, I think accepting the fact that there's a lot going on in the world, a lot happening in this country right now, and him to give these moments the seriousness that they warrant. So if you've been in a country or a territory that is U.S. protected for 2 weeks without water and electricity or any other elements that would give you an ability to sustain life, having a sense of humor is a little more challenging then. And so I think it comes across as insensitive. And look, I'm a business person, a bottom line person, but, I think that he can do better, and we should expect him to do better. And we shouldn't be up here cheerleading him because he has done one thing that we think is, not too far, but, that he is, and he's shown up. I think he can do better. And he should.
Well, the comments definitely moved markets yesterday.
These are different comments. I was referring to his comment to the audience in Puerto Rico. You killed us with your debt, which is different than the comment that he made to Geraldo last night.
But the country went bankrupt. The country already has had a really severe economic crisis, and now they're having a crisis of for their lives and the safety of the country.
But there is a feeling that the media did go overboard in terms of his shortcomings in Puerto Rico. I've got a list
here.
Do. Six commercial barges were delivering meals, water, generators, cots, other commodities in Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. 3 flights a day were arriving in St. Croix, each carrying approximately 33,000 meals. The logistics supporting ships, SS Wright arriving, carrying more than 1.1 million meals. I mean, this is an island, and it was difficult to get there.
I was out of that.
But you know what? The media, this is nothing new, right? The media, when I first started off in business, I got a lesson from a reporter who wrote a story I thought was really wrong. He told me if the ambulance comes 99.9 times out of 100 and saves a life, that's not news. But if they get lost on the way and somebody dies one time, that's news. And unfortunately, that's a perspective that Trump is being treated by on steroids. And
right, but we're ignoring the fact that NORAD had scrambled and had lots of ships in the area even before the hurricane hit. Yeah. FEMA was there the day after. There were logistical challenges with ships sunk in the harbor and the airstrips damaged, and the real problems are internal to transportation, plus limitations on what Puerto Rico, which was actually asking for, since the protocol now is that these things are locally driven rather than top down.
And we should point out that the governor has been very complimentary of the president in terms of what this administration has done. And now, of course, we know what the San Juan mayor has said, but there are, I think, 70 other mayors that have actually been pretty positive on the president. We want to get to this, though, because elsewhere on Capitol Hill, top Republican lawmakers, including the Senate's number 2 Republican, John Cornyn, are now signaling that they are open to considering legislation banning so-called bump stocks, like the Las Vegas gunman used to convert semi-automatic rifles into fully automatic rifles. In the House, Republican Congressman Carlos Curbelo says that he hopes to file a bill in the next day or two that would ban those devices. Do you see this gaining steam, John?
Yes. Look, I think that anyone, I'm a Second Amendment believer. I believe that we have a basic right to carry arms and protect ourselves. However, our founding fathers did not contemplate this, and the Constitution needs to evolve. And we need to, all of us who want to protect our rights to own guns, need to also ask ourselves, are we willing to fight for that right? At the expense of the lives of our children, our mothers, our daughters, our wives, our husbands. And I think that's, so I think Congress is going to have to do something.
When it comes to the bump stocks. Go ahead.
I do think it's encouraging that you're seeing the GOP kind of get on board with this, because you don't normally see that from them. But, I mean, if we do look back at history, back in 2013 after the Connecticut elementary school shooting, the Democrats, they controlled the Senate, and they failed to pass legislation on guns. So.
That's true.
The National Firearms Act of 1934 pretty much made the case that the average citizen does not get to own machine guns. Bump stocks is basically a way around to turn a semi-automatic into a machine gun. I just don't see there being the political will to relitigate the 1934 Act and say, well, everybody should be able to have effectively a machine gun, which is what a bump stock does. But if you were a cynic, you'd say that what this is really about is driving up sales for bump stocks.
That's exactly right. And it's a wink, by the way. You can buy this, you can attach it to your weapon, but you can't use it. It's illegal to use. And so clearly we've got to look at our laws and get rid of some of these exclusions and these loopholes that are costing lives, because that man was kicking off 1,000 rounds a minute. Think about that.
Yeah.
That's 10,000 rounds.
Walmart's already removed some of their bump stocks from their website.
Yeah.